last night. 30 degrees and clearing and no wind. Very, very nice. This is the best time of year. Today we have Robin Cutler from Ingram Spark. Where are you coming to us from, Robin?
So I live in northern New Mexico up in the mountains. And so we actually had snow last weekend after, all of our spring started sprouting. And you just never know here. The weather does change pretty quickly, probably like it does where you live. But really beautiful, excellent weather. I have a little greenhouse where everything's just kind of popping up like crazy. I can't wait to actually get out in my garden this weekend.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. We have rhubarb. Rhubarb is our stalwart plant,
yeah.
and it starts growing under the snow. So as the snow peels away from the house, so we've got three rhubarb turtle heads popping out, and they're all bright and red compared to the brown and frozen ground. Because it's so cold up here, it freezes to about 4 feet.
Oh wow!
So the ground freezes that far. So we have a heated pad for our house. It's in-floor heat. So the concrete slab is heated. So the first about 2 feet away from the house it's
warm.
It's fairly warm, yeah. And we put the rhubarb right at the edge of that. So it's like 3 feet out. And as I'm digging down to plant the rhubarb, I hit blue board. There's foam board at the 3 foot point. So that's more insulation underneath the slab. So I cut out a little bit of that, and the rhubarb is right on the edge of the foam board. So, and it is thriving there. The rhubarb thrives up here, just like blueberries and stuff. It's amazing. We don't have any fruit trees.
Raspberries. I've got raspberries coming up all over the place. So I've never grown rhubarb. I might try it some this year.
It's You plant it, and then you can't harvest any for like 3 years after you plant it.
Oh.
So I've had some. I wanted bushes in front of the house because it's not really landscaped heavily. We're up on a little bit of a hill, which is good for drainage. And our yard is like 18 feet long. We have 2 acres, but our yard is about 18 feet long because I don't want to cut grass. And the moose will just step on it and mess it up.
I would love to have a moose in my backyard. We do get a lot of deer here.
Okay.
And as I was talking to you earlier, we'd had a bear visit last week, so that pulled down my hummingbird feeder. But so that's kind of always exciting.
Pull down the hummingbird feeder. Yeah. I know Jeffy Kennedy lives in New Mexico. And a mountain lion comes by on occasion and drinks out of her fountain.
Yeah.
Drinks out of her bird bath. That's pretty neat seeing those pictures. So today we have you on here to talk about Ingram, and because you guys are the premier publisher of paperbacks or printer of paperbacks and hardbacks, and you distribute. You do a lot of the services. You even do that for Amazon when they're not printing. And even though Amazon, hey, we're KDP print, but Ingram sets that standard. And I think Ingram was the first place. That's why Amazon went with that guaranteed 3 days on books and things like that, because Ingram could guarantee we can print it and get it to you that quickly.
Well, that's right. And I appreciate that, Craig. And also just for having me on this morning. I just, I went to your conference and have met you and Michael and Judith and went to the conference last November and was blown away by this whole group and what you're doing. So really appreciate all the shout outs that you give to us for sure. But Ingram, believe it or not, Ingram started our print on demand company that's called Lightning Source, over 20 years ago. If you can believe now that POD is 20-year-old technology. But, we continue to invest in that. It is state of the art. We have facilities all over the world that can do POD. And now, especially right now with this crisis, this is absolutely the model that's working everywhere. Like it's not just indie authors and self-publishers. It's the large publishers now where print on demand is turning out to be, the lifeblood of, the publishing industry today. So I think we were ahead of our time, and now it is the time. And, it's just a great model. So instead of having inventory, we're actually printing to actual orders. And like you said, an Amazon order comes in, we're manufacturing, to that Amazon order, to that Barnes & Noble order, to the indie bookstore order, and actually shipping it out directly to their customers. So, it's really efficient. It's really fast. What's great about print on demand are a lot of things, but, it allows, someone to get into publishing without that front up investment that traditional publishers have had to make in inventory. So, I just can't say enough good things. And, we're just really happy and proud that Ingram is now the player now that's kind of keeping things going.
I think Ingram has always been the player because it
Yeah.
helped Amazon establish themselves as the bookseller because they could do the marketing, they could build the platform, but they needed that guarantee, and nobody could provide it except Ingram. And the thing is with printing, sure, you can do a mass print and get books for $1 a copy, but then you got to store them, you have to manage them, you have to ship them, you have to do all of that. So when you look at print on demand from a business perspective, that makes so much more sense because whether it costs $12 for us or if we can send a paperback out at $7, our market share isn't, as indies, isn't enough that $5 is making a difference.
Yeah.
It's much because you're going to lose all of that doing warehousing, managing that inventory, and then waste. You have no waste with print on demand. Let's say very, very minimal. So I think that model has always been successful. And one thing that I'd like to see is the print on demand model in a smaller bookstore where you can go in and you see stuff like go into like an AT&T store. Hey, look at all these models and you've got screens you can browse. Hey, here's mysteries. Do a quick browse on a big screen. I'd like that one. Click. And then, you browse, you go grab a coffee, and 30 minutes later, the book's waiting for you at the front desk.
Well, there's actually that is a reality, and it actually has been around for a number of years.
Cool.
There was a time when Barnes & Noble was considering putting these print-on-demand machines directly into the stores. They're called espresso machines, and that is still viable. And there's still a lot of stores and libraries that have those machines. Shakespeare and Company in New York City actually now I think owns that whole print on demand within store sort of business. But when you have your book even set up in Ingram Spark, and you might not even know this, there is a network of these espresso machines. And if your book is of the format that espresso machine can print it, it actually gets sent out in a data feed, your book, to those espresso machines. So if somebody does come into the store, your book would be able to be printed off that machine. So that is happening today. It's just not, it's just not a model that really took off in a huge wide way just because of the expense of those machines. And so that's where, our model, and we're part of that network. We've always been part of that network too. But that's where the Lightning Source sort of print on demand model has exceeded that just because it's kept up and been refined over time. And, the technology's been improved, and it's being improved as we speak.
Yeah. Well, and also places like Barnes & Noble, they're under a great deal to show trad pubs books. They go every January and June and compete for shelf space and pay for shelf space and pay for front table space. So they are not interested in any way in a successful print on demand. Not at this point in time, because it doesn't fit their business model, because they have warehouses filled with these books and they need to move them.
Yeah, a lot of people have that. But like I said, the industry is changing now as we speak. And I think we're in a perfect position with our print on demand. And the other thing is just the overall model, and you alluded to this, where we have print on demand, but it's also tied to the largest distributor in the world. So there's nobody else that can really compete with that model.
Yeah. And before we move into what operations are currently running for Ingram, if you can take a look at Lawrence's question.
Hey, Lawrence. Let's see. Can I read that? I've had an account with Lightning Source for more than a decade. Before there was Ingram Spark, I think. In the current world, do I need to have a Spark account too? Well, what I will say is the print-on-demand service that you get with your current Lightning Source account and with Ingram Spark is virtually the same service, the same options that are available. Ingram Spark is a platform that I actually created and launched. Now we're coming up on 7 years ago. And it was specifically designed for an indie author. So it has some other features available. We also have ebook distribution through Ingram Spark that we don't have in Lightning Source. So what I would say is, it's up to you. If you would like to participate and be on the Ingram Spark platform and you currently have a Lightning Source account, we can just move your title over to Ingram Spark. I would suggest you go set up an account in Ingram Spark, poke around in there, see what you like. And if you'd rather, we can easily move your content over to Ingram Spark.
Good deal. That's cool. And this is a good question. This is the next question. We're jumping into these. You can see from Facebook user, some people, Facebook doesn't interface with BeLive very nicely.
No. Okay. So, hi, Robin. I'm about to publish my print books with Ingram Spark. What's the percentage rate I need to set my books for Barnes & Noble to consider them? So you have a range that we let you pick your own discount that you want to make available to retailers and libraries to purchase your book. And the range is at the minimum 30% of the list price that you also set on your book, up to 55% off. So within the industry, and I'm talking about the trade publishing industry, 55% is the normal trade discount that bookstores are used to. But to get your book listed on these other sites, and not just Barnes & Noble, but also Amazon, Walmart, Target, 30% is the minimum. 30% will earn you more revenue. And to be honest with you, in a lot of cases, that's a good discount for you because your book's going to be sold purely online. It's not probably ever going to be stocked in the store. So I would start there. You can always change the discount. You can see if this is causing you to get stuck and actually to keep your book from being sold more broadly, because like I said, bookstores are used to the higher trade discount. But start there and it will get your book listed on those sites, which is absolutely at a minimum what you want. Did that help? Did you want to add something to Craig? Because I know you're on your head the whole time.
No, that sounds great. I know. I just wanted to tell the anecdote. One of our members put her book up through Ingram discount, and within a couple days had sold 600 copies.
Oh my goodness! And
she was like, "This is great. Look at this." And because of the discount, her total royalties on 600 copies was $8.
Oh no!
So congratulations, but let's change the pricing a little bit. So let's talk about what is currently running for Ingram Spark. What do your operations look like in the current situation?
So luckily, the world and world governments consider books essential. And I also want to point you to this while I'm thinking about it, this campaign that's going on right now. Publishers Weekly launched it a couple of days ago. And so I encourage you, everybody, take a picture of themselves with a book, and I'll I'll hold it like this. It should look kind of like this, like
Mhm.
like the book's your mask. And then post that with the tagline, with the hashtag books are essential, because we're just really trying to make that case. And obviously it is the case. But around the world, globally, books are considered essential parts of just, human, happiness. And so our business has really remained intact. We've been open. Our fulfillment centers have been open. Our print-on-demand facilities have been open from the get-go. Even in states that early on had like mandatory, shelter in place, like California. And we have a facility in Fresno. And so I think our plant was shut down for about a day until we were able to open it back up as an essential business. So we've been operational. We've been really busy, fulfilling orders for a lot of our big retail customers like Amazon and Walmart. Walmart and Target have really picked up as well. And this is true around the world. So we've got facilities all over the U.S., in UK, Australia. We do have what we call Global Connect partners that do printing for us at our standard in other countries. I think the India facility's down right now, but some of the others are still up and operational. And so we're monitoring those on an ongoing basis. But for now, it's just business as usual. And Ingram, even with libraries, being closed, a lot of bookstores being closed, we are starting to hear in other parts of the world, I think that in Italy, even bookstores are starting to reopen. So, so that's the hard part. The online business is really strong, but the brick and mortar distribution part obviously is considerably slowed down now.
Okay.
Let's see, does your book need to be a certain size spec for that option POD in stores? Really stores, the POD options that we offer, the trim sizes are the standard sizes. So any of our sizes work within stores that you see there. And we have from all the way to a really small size of 4x6 is I think our smallest size.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah, and those are great, like for little guidebooks or, just smaller versions of maybe another book that you have. You could put into that smaller size and have a whole nother product really easy. And then we go all the way up to 8.5 by 11, either tall or the landscape. And we do hardcover and paperbacks.
And on the 8.5 by 11, what is the maximum page count?
I think it can go up to about 300 or 400 pages. The minimum I know is about 18 pages. Okay. To get a spine on your book, I think you need about 42 pages. Okay. So just keep that in mind as a spine is really important if you want to get into the bookstore sort of market. So just kind of keep that in mind. But you can do a tiny little book with just, the minimum 18 pages.
We've done those, and they're pretty neat, especially getting your author copies and just whatever. You just get a bundle of them, and you just throw them out like candy. I mean, they're relatively cheap, and they look nice.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So we have a person who making a switch.
Making a switch to, let's see, what is there a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see, which question am I looking at? Jay Green, can I?
No, it's the one. It's the one on the big screen.
Oh, I think I just answered that one. Does your book need to be a certain size?
Oh no, the one. I started making the switch from AMS expanded distribution to Ingram Spark.
Oh, okay.
And couldn't get past the ISBN transfer hurdle. Is it better to use another ISBN? And I think I have the answer to that. And the answer is yes. You need a new ISBN. And also, what can one expect to earn from a print book priced at $12.99?
So on the ISBN, let's see, you were trying to transfer, it sounds like, from Amazon to, so you should be able to transfer with no issue if you own the ISBN. If you're using an Amazon ISBN, which Craig will tell you we would never recommend that you do that.
I always recommend doing that.
That you won't be able to transfer if it's an Amazon ISBN, and you would have to have a new ISBN. Now, speaking about ISBNs, and I've always advocated from the get-go that authors should always own their own ISBNs. We did start offering free ISBNs in Ingram Spark last fall. And a lot of people are taking advantage of them. And even on the site itself, we say we don't recommend this, but we have this as an option because, it just is true that a lot of people just can't afford them. So we don't want to, hinder people from getting their content up and saleable. Also, let's see, can we expect to earn from a print book price at $12.99? Well, it depends on the discount that you set. So if you've set a minimum 30% discount, then it would be 30% off that $12.99 is that $99 or $12? $12.99. It would be 30% off that $12.99 that you would earn minus the cost of printing. So it depends on the size of the book too. We have a calculator tool, and Craig, I'll send you the link over to that if you don't have it yourself, where you should go. It's in, if you have an Ingram Spark account, it's there on your in your dashboard. If you don't have an Ingram Spark account, it's also available on the front end. So it's a calculator that will give you the pricing on the size, whether it's paperback, hardcover, if it's black and white or color, the trim size, and it will allow you to put in pricing, your list price, and also what discount you want to offer.
That's cool. That's good stuff there.
Yeah, that's the best place to go and really get the answer.
Yeah.
Can I use Ingram Spark to print test copies of a full color graphic novel? How sophisticated can the printing get? So, we are printing for the major publishers in the world. It's kind of a not a dirty secret, but especially now, everybody's using print on demand. You can't really tell a difference. Much difference between traditional printing now and print on demand. So full color graphic novel, that's our bread and butter.
Business as usual.
Yeah, easily do that. You can write to me and I'll give, maybe you can put that up somewhere, but it's robin.cutler@ingramcontent.com, and we can actually send you some print samples. Or you can just contact our Ingram, let's see, it's Ingram Spark support at ingramcontent.com. You can write to them as well.
Good deal. Well, thank you very much. That's great, having a hotline directly to the key people.
So this person, it was her own ISBN, or Vicky, I think that's Vicky saying that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get through the paper request form. So we do have this, some people think that we're adversarial customers or printers opposed to Amazon. We work really close with Amazon, between Amazon and Ingram. We're really closely tied together. So we do have a mechanism. If someone comes in and they say, my book's set up with KDP or with CreateSpace, and I want to switch it over to Ingram Spark, we do have this thing where we ask you to fill out a request form, and then that goes back to KDP. And then we kind of sit there and wait for them to respond. And depending on how quickly they kind of get to that is what kind of is usually the holdup. I'm actually working on a solution that's going to make that a lot quicker. But for today, that's how that works. So, again, reach out to me or reach out to the support team, and let's look into that for you to see if we can get that worked out right now.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, thank you. The so Ingram, what are your big plans for the rest of the year? You got to have something in the works.
So we've had something in the works for years that we are about to, and in fact, we actually launched our beta version of some improvements to our website a few weeks ago, about a month ago, and we're going live with that beta version next week. But included in this is this thing that I have been working hard on for years. And it's basically a book formatting tool. So you can upload, if you've finished your Word document and you've had your book all edited, you'll be able to upload a Word document within your Ingram Spark account using this tool and format your book for print and for e. And we've never had anything like that before. It's going to be totally free. I really encourage you to get in there and kind of poke around and use it and give us feedback. I think it's, and there are a number of formatting services out there. I think this is really going to be a fantastic tool. And I always encourage, even with tools like this, that you invest in custom cover design. I think that's really, really essential for your book. But, you can format pretty easily the interior here without having to spend any money. So look for that. That's something we've been doing for years. The launch of the free ISBN service that we've been working on. We are really about to shore up our ebook service that's kind of been lagging for years in providing broader distribution there. You'll start seeing this probably in early summer. Broader distribution into the library vendors like Overdrive and Hoopla. Some of the subscription models that we've never had available will now have those available to you. And then just better terms so you make more money on your ebook. Terms right now, our terms are we pay you 40% of the list price that you put on the book for an e-sale. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not good. It's not good just broadly where, some of our other competitors in the ebook space, offer much better terms. So our terms are going to be 85% of the net. And so that's going to earn everybody a lot more money in the end and just make the service a lot broader. We've had people just say, why can't, you do better with ebooks? That's where we're really selling all of our content. And we would like to have one platform, where we can do that. The ebook service today, and we'll continue with, is it's not exclusive. So you can upload your book through KDP and then use Ingram Spark, for the rest of all the ebook services like Apple, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, and then Hoopla and Overdrive. And that just makes it easier just to maintain your content across multiple platforms while making it available as widely as you can. So look for that. I've been working on that. It's just amazing. And any of you, and I know Craig knows this, any software development just always takes longer than you think it should, right? Right, Craig?
You bet. You bet. Well, especially dealing with the distributors who then each subtly change their upload. So a single upload for us, hey, it's easy. Well, it's not easy for Ingram. It's not easy for Draft to Digital, Publish Drive, or any of the aggregators who then get your book onto these disparate platforms and libraries through Hoopla and Overdrive. That's also a win and opens things up to indie. So thanks for all your work on that, helping open things up for us, making available more choices. It's very important to have choices.
Yeah, more choices, especially on the print side. So, and on the print side, and this is all operational, and we're always testing additional paper choices. additional binding types like spiral bind and things like that. So we're working really hard, within Lightning Source operations to expand our choices with some things like that, especially on the children's book side where, a paper choice can make all the difference between the quality, how that book is, perceived out in the market. So that's something that we are working on. Okay. Where can I obtain a list of booksellers in South Africa that distributes to? I have frequent requests from South African readers who can't get hold of my books there. I know, really, I'm sure there are bookstores within South Africa that are Ingram customers. And Ingram, I mean the big distribution of Ingram. I can see if I can find what those are. If you would write to me, I can probably give you a list after we do a little bit of research. So, it is, and probably right now, who knows if these booksellers, not all of them are going to come back to us, unfortunately, but, who knows today, how this is happening. I would say, you can always point people to your online places that your book is available for your readers. We do want to support our indie bookstores. One place that your book should be available if it's set up for distribution within Ingram Spark is this new platform called bookshop.org. And bookshop.org will have your book listed. You can point people there. And what's great about bookshop.org is that it is actually raising money as a resource for all indie bookstores. They actually have a pot of, I think, 10% of all of the proceeds go into this pot that all these sellers are sharing in right now, which is really good.
That's nice. That's nice. And my son married into Australia, so my grandchildren are Australian and live in Australia. So what Ingram, I believe you're in Australia and now have the POD service, so people can order a book there and it ships under Australian postal service as opposed to trying to send it all the way from the U.S.
Yeah, we actually have a print-on-demand Lightning Source facility in Melbourne, and I actually went there the summer before last. Yeah, and did a tour of indie authors. It was called the Indie Author Forum, I think is what it was called. And we went all over Australia and just had met hundreds of authors there. That are really, really keyed in to self-publishing. It was a fantastic experience. The U.S. has kind of led the way for self-publishers, and certainly people like Craig and Michael, have helped to garner, the self-publishing movement here in the U.S. But in Australia, it's a huge movement as well. So that was great. But we do have a facility there. It has, the same capability that all of our print-on-demand facilities have in the U.S. and the U.K. So, yeah, you can go in as an Ingram Spark account holder. You can actually print books. Say hopefully when all this is over, we can travel. You probably go to Australia with your connection
every year. Yep.
Yeah. And you can actually set up events. You can actually print books there. We have a whole retail community that we work with, directly out of our Lightning Source. And you can manage that really well in Australia, just like you can in the UK.
We had an event on December 30th last year. So just a few months ago, it seems like years since that event. And we had 70 people come to that in Adelaide. Just a small event. It was really the Australians take great care of us, and their indie community is thriving and growing.
Thriving, yes, yeah. Thriving.
Yeah.
You should get yourself listed as a speaker at the Byron Bay Book Festival. It happens in August, And it was really, really a fantastic experience. Huge thing. And Byron Bay, have you ever been there? It's just a great place to go. So put a pin in
Okay.
that.
Okay. Speaker for Byron Bay.
Yeah, I would love to go back. I'm not sure I'll be able to make it back anytime soon, but I loved it. I was there for about a month, and we did events in Melbourne, in Byron Bay, in Brisbane, and in Sydney, and a couple other smaller places. And as you said, we just got the red carpet just rolled out. What I loved, and Craig, you should do this at your event. You're going to kick me when I say this, but what they did in Australia before, these events that they hosted, was they offered champagne to everybody.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a free walk naked through the outback to get you in the right frame of mind for Australia.
But the champagne works too.
We actually had booze at the check-in last year for
Vegas.
Yeah,
You do a good job.
This year it's going to be in the morning, so we'll think. I'm sure Bloody Marys and
mimosas.
Mimosas. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll make something available. I remember my brother-in-law got married in Cancun, and it was at an all-inclusive resort, and we're there, and we're in the pool in the morning, and they're like, "Would you like a drink? Here, we have mimosas." I'm like, "It's the special today. It's free. Like every day, whatever you want, free relative." But yeah, mimosas, like the wedding event, like the pre-wedding day dinner that night. I had like a dozen mimosas that day. I was about dead when holy crap. We're doing the dinner. I even danced. There's video. No, nobody has that.
Oh, we want to see that. We want to see the video.
Yeah. So we have a question. Do you charge a quarterly $12 fee to keep a book in wide distribution?
We do not charge that in Ingram Spark. So we do charge a title setup fee normally, and I think your group gets a break on that, right, Craig?
Spark 20 books was the code for, and it was a year. It was for a whole year to waive an initial book setup fee. Yes, yeah. Thank you for that.
So we normally charge a one-time $49 setup fee, but we don't charge the annual fee. So once your book's in, it's in.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. And really, to make your book, so the process, if you've never used Ingram Spark, is you upload your finished file, and that's why we really needed a book formatting tool. A lot of people had struggled with the finished file, right? It's not the easiest thing in the world. So our book formatting tool, will create a compliant file that just goes directly in. So you have to upload a finished file. We send you an e-proof. You look at that. If it's a print book that you're distributing with us, and it can be an ebook, but if it's just a print book, I encourage you to order one copy, make sure you like it, make sure it looks the way you expected, make any changes if you need to. And then, if you're happy with it, you click a button that says enable distribution. And then that puts the book almost that night into the Ingram Catalog. And from there, it gets fed over to Amazon. It gets fed out into Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, wherever. But it does take a little time depending on the retailer site. So you shouldn't expect like within the next day to see it everywhere. It's gonna roll out in pieces. So even on Amazon, you'll notice that the title goes out. Maybe the title and the author name you'll see, and then maybe a day later you'll see the description get added. Maybe 3 days later you'll see the cover get added. So that's the way distribution feeds work. Just so you know that. And give yourself a little space making sure that your title is widely available before you start marketing it. And I know Craig preaches this, like, don't start marketing it on the day that you upload it, right?
Yeah. The day I plan to upload. And also on that initial copy, you upload it before you say just click it for distribution. Is there a discount on that? Is that at cost plus shipping, or?
That's the print cost plus shipping. So it's
Okay.
whatever's in that calculator tool that that you can go and find. It will show you exactly what it's going to cost you.
Based on your pages and size and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
Any plans for printing within Canada?
We've been talking about this for years. And we're, when I mentioned our Global Connect business, which is printers from other countries that we use for printing, just like we do if we own that print community or print plant. We've been looking for a Canadian print partner and would love to have one because, our Canadian market's pretty huge and Canadian authors are so fantastic. But today we ship from the US. So that's always an issue. So I wish I could wave a magic wand and have that. If I could, I would.
Yeah. Just need to get that trade balance set up so it doesn't cost so damn much to ship a book to Canada and get
The
it through
great thing about Canadians, and there's actually a lot of countries around the world. So ISBNs, we'll get back to ISBNs for just a minute. ISBNs are country specific and where you get an ISBN. So in the US, we get, and even in Ingram Spark and even in Amazon, if you're getting a KDP ISBN, they all originate from a company called Bowker, BOWKER, and they all cost somebody something, right? In Canada, and I love the Canadians for this, they actually think that that creating books is a valuable thing for the Canadian society. So the Canadian government provides ISBNs for free in Canada. So if you're a Canadian, you should definitely be hitting that up. And also applaud the Canadians for being so forward thinking there.
Yeah. I concur completely. You have to have this number, but you have to pay for it. And this number is universal, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And if libraries, well, to put it in a public library, you have to have a number that you have to pay for. And now, and that's hey, it just is. Nothing is free in this world. Somebody has to pay for it. But what is the value to the greater good, and is it worth that investment? So that's a political argument that in any case, you can get it free from Ingram Spark or free from Amazon. But if you got a free one from Amazon, then you can't publish on Ingram Spark until you get a new ISBN. So just if you buy your own ISBNs and they relate to your publishing company, but also keep in mind you have to have a different ISBN for each format.
Yes.
So like if you change the paper color from cream to white because you have more pages or something, you need a new ISBN for that because the ISBN relates to that very specifics regarding your book.
Well, I will say, so I'm going to refute you a little bit on that one.
Good.
So
Good.
If you change from cream to white paper, you don't need to change the ISBN. It's just making that change. If you, the standard within the publishing industry, what requires an ISBN, as Craig was saying correctly, is every format of the book. So the paperback would have a different ISBN from the hardcover, which would be different from an ebook, which would be different from an audiobook, which would be different from a large print edition, which would be different from the coloring book version. You see where I'm going here? So you need a different ISBN for all of those to distinguish from each other. But just to change, to make edits or to change paper type, you're not really changing the content. So you don't have to have a new ISBN. If you're doing a revised edition where you have changed more than 20% of the book and you would identify this new version as a revised edition of the first one, that would need an ISBN. a new ISBN. But if you're just making typo corrections and things like that, you don't need a new ISBN for that.
And you do need a new ISBN if you change like from a 6x9 paperback down to a 4x6 or 5x8, right?
If you're changing just the trim size, no. If the content inside is not changed, you don't need a new ISBN. You just change it.
Okay.
And,
okay.
and then you update the book information, your metadata, to say what that new size is, and then you're good to go. And someone asked about we do. So currently in our model, we do charge for, and we're working on changing this too, but I can't really say what it's going to be yet. But we currently do charge a $25 fee for every new file that you upload. Right now, we are waiving revision fees. So now's the time to go in there and make all the changes you want and upload new files without being charged at all. And we're going to be doing that through the end of May. So, and we're just doing that to help everybody out. We also have a print special on with 5% off print fees, no revision fee, and no title set up through the end of May. So if you go to the site, you'll see the promo code that you need for that.
Okay. You do not need a different ISBN for different ebook formats, right?
You don't. No, you don't. And you also, I remember years ago, people were thinking they needed a different ISBN for everybody that was selling their books. So they would set up, with Barnes & Noble, they would set up with Amazon, they would set up somewhere else and have a different ISBN. And that is that's the formula for chaos. You don't want that. What you want is your book to be singularly identified throughout all of the publishing marketplaces that your book is sold, just to kind of keep it all together. What happened was, and this is true, and this is why this is important to have your book, I believe, in both KDP and Ingram Spark, because what would happen is people, Barnes & Noble may be interested in your book. They've heard about your book. They find out about it. And then they go into the Amazon catalog. Well, if you had selected expanded distribution in KDP or CreateSpace, that actually put your book into the Ingram catalog. But it identified your book along with KDP or CreateSpace. And so Barnes & Noble would go into the Ingram catalog and they would see that. So I don't recommend that you turn on expanded distribution in KDP or CreateSpace, and I think Craig agrees with that. I think the best chance for success for you is to list your book in both places, but don't turn on expanded distribution. That gives your book the best chance on the Amazon platform. It also will give your book the best chance on the Ingram platform as well. So, I'm all about.
And that's where people order, is that Ingram Catalog is critical because that's libraries. There's that one central database that you have to get. And that central database is organized by ISBNs.
Yes.
So that's why the ISBN is important. That's why getting into that wide view that Ingram does. I took all of my books and I clicked them over to expanded distribution for a month, just so all of them would get uploaded into Ingram's catalog. And then I took them back down and made them exclusive to KDP, just so you would have all of that data just in case.
Yeah, that's a really good practice. And I would really agree with that. The question is POD paperback only? Can I also do a deluxe hardcover dust jacket? Yes, you can. So we do paperback and we have hardcover. We call it, they call it case laminate, which means that it's just the printed board. You see a lot of children's books like this with no jacket, but you can also add a jacket and do a hardcover with or without that case laminate cover too.
That's pretty cool.
And someone asked about, Does large print require another ISBN? Yes, it does. Large print would require, and interestingly enough, Craig, just something for your viewers and listeners here. That's one of the areas we're really seeing a lot of growth right now is in large print, and I guess just for that senior population that is that still prefers to read in print. And they can also benefit from a large print. So I always say, create as many formats of your book as you can afford. And a lot of that is dependent on the ISBN and also, with how you're designing your book and if you're paying for that. So, just do it as you can, add them as you can. I think it's really, really important. We do offer, so, you upload your finished files as PDFs, so they can be anything you want. So if you've created a large print version with just larger, point size of your print, you would call it the title of your book and then in parentheses, say large print. And I think actually when you're setting up your book, we ask you if this is large print.
Yeah, Amazon has a checkbox is all. Is this large print? Click.
Yeah, and I think we do that too. And we are actually working on, that's another thing that we're working on, Craig, is being able to convert to large print for you too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. A question, is it cheaper to print matte versus gloss or white versus cream?
It's the same. It's the same cost, yeah.
What do you recommend?
What do you prefer? I know science fiction.
I've done glossy covers for a long time, and then I started getting them printed in matte, and I'm like, I like these. They really stand out. So I now use matte. I use sci-fi is cream paper, so I've been using cream paper, which of course means you need a little bit bigger cover because the paper width is different. In Amazon, in KDP print, you can get 700 and some pages in a paperback with cream, but you can get 822 with white paper. 822 is the max book. And I'm finishing up a book tomorrow, a rewrite, 250,000 words, and I'm putting it in a single paperback. I'm going to get it formatted down to the 822 white pages. Whatever the biggest font we can do, that I've delineated all spacing within, and it's going to be like a Battlefield Earth. We're going to make it good. We'll print it and we'll have that single paperback back of 9 mystery novels all in one. But still, those are those kinds of things. Just make sure your cover artist knows you're using cream or white because it changes the cover dimension, the spine dimensions, and then go forth and conquer. What kind of because the recommendations around for the margins, you can control all of those. And instead of learning and dealing with that, I just pay a formatter. I know, vellum, okay, whatever. I hate Apple. I don't use an Apple computer, so I know I'm not using vellum. But I know a guy. So indies employing indies, and I get it done exactly. It comes out nice margins. He's got all my margins that I like, and now it's a great deal and great effort. And when I tell him, here's 250,000 words, make it fit in 822 pages. I might have to bump that up to 6x9, so it'll be a more burly as opposed to the 5x8.
I was even thinking 7x10. Should it be bigger?
I don't have any books that are 7x10, so
you want them to all fit together. That makes sense.
We'll see if we can make it fit, because I've been using 5x8 recently, and I've gone to 6x9. I used 6x9 originally because that was the default. I didn't know any better, and I just threw it in, and hey, it worked. And then I see it on the shelf next to other books. I'm like, oh, it looks like crap because it looks hokey. So 5x8, now it fits in with trade. It's a little bit bigger, but still, you got a burly book. 5x8, you can make it thicker, and the costs are almost immaterial. Trying to squeeze down. Geez, if I can make a 240-page book, my print costs are. If you have a 320, look at the competition space when it's next to other books on a shelf, and you'll say that for that extra little cost. For 300 pages vice 240, it's worth it for the visual appeal of the novel. And so that's those are little things that I've learned as I put books out, even though I sell way more ebooks. Ebooks are my bread and butter. So when you have a paper, if you're going to print a paperback, you might as well make it competitive. So
Yeah, and I love it, Craig, that you're kind of repurposing your content and thinking about it that way. I think that's what everybody should be doing, repurposing in smaller bits and also putting together those bits into larger bits. Because you just don't know, and things change and tastes change. And certainly every author wants to see their book on a bookshelf, right? You definitely want your family to all own print copies of your book.
I had custom hardbacks made for my
Yeah.
dad, my son, and
Yeah,
my
that's so
brother.
nice. Yeah.
And so I put, and this was a mom and pop shop out of Florida, and they did my hardbacks. They did, and they're big and they're massive. And so I gave my dad, they sit on his shelf proudly. And my brother has his, and my son, I have him here because he's in Australia. And you ever ship anything to Australia?
But you can't do that now through Ingram Spark. So with your deluxe hardcover for sure.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So what
I
else?
think
We got just a few minutes left, right?
Yeah, I think we're about good.
Somebody asked about point size for large print. So I don't know if you know this, Craig, but I actually started my rather lengthy publishing career as a book designer. So I would qualify large print, and I'll look this up and we'll confirm this with you. I would think large print is probably 14 point.
Oh, that's not too bad.
That's not too bad. It could be 16, but I would say 14. And it varies depending on the font that you use. Some fonts just naturally, are larger no matter what point size you put them in.
Yeah.
So that would matter.
I use 11 for my normal books.
Yeah, 11, 10, 11 is pretty standard. But 14, 16, I think would probably classify as large print.
Okay. Good to go. I appreciate your time, Robin. Thank you very much for your insight and your experience, especially with everything that's going on with Ingram and within the print industry. So right now, a little bit hiccup. Your operations are still going at 100%. That's great to see. Different clientele, but still, you guys are doing it. Any paper shortages? I heard their paper was getting hard to find.
I haven't heard that. We have had that in the past, but I haven't heard it recently. So.
Oh, good. So that rumor dispelled. Robin Cutler, Ingram Spark dispelled. There's no paper to print books, and that they're not printing books, and your book is going to take forever to get to you. None of that.
And somebody asked here about Amazon reusing ISBNs. I can't imagine that they would be doing that. I know that we would never do that. I can't imagine they would either.
No, that makes no sense.
Trouble. It's just too much trouble to keep up with.
Yeah, and that's also it's a single database. It can't have duplicate ISBNs on
I used to work for Amazon. I don't know if you know that either. So I would almost guarantee Amazon's not doing that.
No, I don't see it.
And my email address is Robin, ROBIN.Cutler, CUTLER at Ingram, INGRAMCONTENT.com. Robin.Cutler at IngramContent.com.
And there you go. Some of you have questions. Great. Thank you very much, Robin. I really appreciate it. And tomorrow we will have another guest. I don't know day to day. I'll figure it out sometime later today when I look at the schedule.
I think we should do a gardening show.
Yeah, it's still. I think. I wonder. Can you see the snow behind me? Yeah, it's a whiteout. Yeah, we're not gardening yet. We have rhubarb, little turtle heads popping out. That's the best we got. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.